Yesterday's shooting that left 10 people dead is from a student who didn't even realize he had been shot in the back of the head.
I took off running out the door, and there's a 7-foot wall out there, and just my adrenaline was so high that I just propelled myself over the wall.
Sophomore Rome Schubert was briefly hospitalized. The 17-year-old suspect is behind bars on 10 counts of capital murder. No suspects near Atlanta, where a woman was shot and killed in a high school parking lot last night. Police say violence erupted in Jonesboro after a graduation ceremony. In Britain, a storybook setting as Prince Harry and American actress Meghan Markle marry in Windsor.
We saw them just about 20 yards away from us with no people in between. We waved to them, they waved back to us. I mean, you could see it in their spirit and their excitement and enthusiasm that this was quite a day.
Fox's Greg Palcott in Windsor. Markle wore a white dress and a long veil. The tiara she wore was made in 1911 for Queen Mary. The First Lady is back at the White House.
First Lady Melania Trump had been recovering at Walter Reed National Medical Center since a surgery Monday morning. Her office said she had an embolization procedure for a benign kidney condition.
Fox's Jared Halpern, the First Lady's communications director, says she is resting comfortably. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Listen. My life changed because someone was there to get me to use drugs. No one can understand. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to think that having someone will listen.
Thank you guys for staying with us. Real Estate with Ryan. We got a good show for you today. In light of Memorial Day weekend coming up, we're talking about waterfront properties. How to get your property sold. Tips for selling waterfront properties this Memorial Day weekend. That's what we're going to be talking about. Real Estate with Ryan. Pros, cons. We'll also go over some market updates in the lakefront homes in the MLS, what happened last year in 17, and what to expect here in 2018. We'll start the show here in a few minutes. Thank you for staying tuned. You guys out there on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, thank you for following us. Hey, you got any questions where we hit the air live? Talk Radio, 865-888-TALK, 865-888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
It's hard to believe, but a man is accused of punching a pregnant woman and her dog in midair.
Hazel Ramirez is 5 months pregnant and deaf. She was traveling with her partner as well as her service dog, a Great Dane named Zariel. They were on a flight coming into Orlando from Colorado Springs when another passenger reportedly complained to the couple, saying the dog had triggered his wife's allergies. That passenger, Timothy Manley, allegedly punched the dog. That led to a physical confrontation when Ramirez says she was hit by Manley. Orlando police say they took statements and referred the case to the FBI. Ramirez says she plans to press charges. Jill Nato, Fox News.
A tiebreaker is on tap tonight as the quest for the NHL's Stanley Cup continues.
The series all evened up in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Washington Capitals and Tampa Bay Lightning will take the ice in Game 5 tonight. The Caps letting a 2-game lead slip away, but center Nicholas Backstrom says his team has to dust that off.
You need to be able to, even if you win or lose, you need to be able to look at it.
The Lightning tying things back up with a Game 4 win, and Ryan McDonough trusts the consistency of his team.
It's a 7-game series, and we're all a team, we're all working hard to finally win games.
The road team has been the winner in each game of this Eastern Conference Final. The Phillies will try to turn that tide in Game 5 at Amalie Arena at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
In other sporting news, the Preakness Stakes will take place at Pimlico later. The Maryland racetrack expected to be messy due to recent rains. Pam Lucille.
Can you start with that?
I'm good. I have it on my computer.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well on a Saturday, and thank you for tuning in to Real Estate with Ryan. I'm Ryan Coleman, your host, as always, along with my lovely co-host, April Coleman.
Good morning.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Estate with Ryan. Hope you're doing well to this spring, and we'll be summer before we know it. Start busy in the real estate market. Hope you're doing well, and we've got a good show for you today.
Yes, we do.
Figured that we're going into the Memorial Day weekend, holidays coming in, and as the spring market is upon us, what's better than a lakefront home?
That's right.
Waterfront property. So we're talking about tips for selling your waterfront property in today's market, 2018. We're going to go a little bit about the idea of the market stats, updates, kind of what happened last year and where we're at in that place versus this year, what to expect in 2018. And if time permits, we'll talk about 6 pitfalls to avoid when selling your lakefront property.
You've got it. And then don't forget, we're live on the air, so you can call in at 865-888-TALK. So make sure you just call in with any questions.
Yeah, any questions you got, whether it's, putting your home on the market, first time, finding inventory. We did a couple shows ago, our 1031 tax exchange. I'd encourage you, if you're doing an investment deal, if you got one that you're buying, tell us where it's at. We'll talk it up right on the air. We'll tell you an idea what the numbers, what those neighborhoods are going. We kind of know the area inside and out. Give you an idea of what's a good buy, what's not a good buy. I mean, we'll be glad to run those numbers and do it right here on the air. That's 865-888-TALK. Any questions you've got, real estate related, we'll cover it here live in the studio. Thank you guys if you're out there streaming on Periscope, YouTube, Facebook. And if you're watching us out there, we appreciate your comments. And feel free to any comments. We'll try to answer those on the air. But we multitask. You're in the studio here with John. Glad to have you in the studio, John. Yeah, good to be back. Miss you. So, now you were in Florida, so we're really jealous. Yeah.
Oh.
So I think we were talking off air. John, before we started the show, had a question of is it a friend or family member that you've got that's putting their house on the market in? Friend?
I'm going to guess this house was built probably in the late 90s. There's great carpeting in it, so over the 20 years or so that this has been around, it has worn. It needs some replacement. So they have it on the market, probably a house that's going to sell around $340,000, $350,000, and they wanted to know would it be better for them to replace those carpets or just clean them up and give the new owners like a $5,000, $10,000, whatever it would be, carpet allowance. The whole house is freshly painted, new lines and everything. The only eyesore is the carpet.
Sure. A little wear and tear. So you guys listen on social media. What John said was that he has a friend in Florida that has a home that's already been redone, painted and everything. The only thing that is the issue is a little bit of dated carpet. The carpet's a little older, and we're trying to decide whether we do a carpet allowance or do we do go ahead and replace it. In our experience, obviously, with anything that you get new, that really has its best impression. In this market, there's competition. As we hit the spring and summer market, there's a lot of inventory hitting the market fairly soon. We did a show last week. We talked about there was 1,300 properties that hit the market in April. In the first week of May, we had almost 400 in the first week of May. So there's a large push, especially with the seasonality, so there's a lot of competition. Anytime there's competition, there's only 2 ways you can separate yourself. Either price or you do more features and upgrades. And I think you got to understand that from a seller's perspective, or where another agent may be showing it, even though it's very logical. A lot of my sellers said, well, I'm going to put this color in, and they may not like it anyway. I'm just wasting the money. That may be the case. Our goal is to get top dollar and to sell it quickly. When it's neutral, when we put that work into it, it allows the buyer to focus on the house. My fear is, and what we've had before, when we just sold, is they're focusing on the dingy carpet that may be dated a little bit, rather than focusing how large the bedrooms are, how beautiful the backyard, and the great neighbors. And so I'd say you're right, it may be a wasted money, and the buyer may update it, and we could sell it either way, but probably the best approach for the spring market, or where we're at now, is neutral. And that we can focus on the house versus the dingy carpet. So I think, if pricing's an issue for some reason, if somebody doesn't have the money to do that, then we can always do that carpet allowance. I want to address that on the front end versus to negotiate that on the back end when their contract comes in. So if there's an objection or something that comes in on the front end, we can handle that, and then we can focus on the rest of the house. So, and you spend $3 grand on the carpet, then what objection is there, right? See, you don't want to give buyers in this market, it's a seller's opportunity, but there's a large push of inventory, we kind of want to limit the ideas, whether it's legitimate concern or not. Buyers are going to use whatever they can to negotiate, especially in this market, right? We go back 5 years ago, they would have all kinds of different options. So now with limited inventory and prices and properties going quickly, we want less things to look at, if that makes sense. If we're priced right, shows right, we've got strong activity, it's marketed right, carpet's the last thing we're thinking about. If I'm a great agent, I'm walking through walking through the property, and I'm saying, you don't like the carpet, that's a simple thing. It's almost expected, isn't it, John, that carpet, paint, you're going to put your own touch. You're going to put your own care to it. Yeah, that's rhetorical. I said if you had a great agent. I know a couple. Here's 2 right here in the studio. But, that's what I would do, and we see it all the time. But I think neutral, even if it's lower grade, even if it's some builder grade, it's not that fancy, but it gives it that clean finish look. It's the devil's in the details. So we're going to jump right in that show. I hope that helped you, John. Tips for selling waterfront property, and I think the first and foremost item is you need to understand who your buyer, who you're selling to, understand what they're buying. Most likely, if it's waterfront property, it's going to be luxury. Mm-hmm. Understand that buyer is spending probably in excess of $400,000 and up.
Right.
And understand who you're selling to, and its presentation, as we were talking with John, you've got to make sure all your foliage, all your landscaping, everything that's in there is clean. Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned off air that we even talked about getting an arborist, or getting down to the lake. Remember, we're selling the waterfront property. That is the focal point. And so with that being said, how important it is to make sure that we have a great presentation on the lawn being manicured, landscaped properly, flowers, especially in the spring market, very, very important.
Right. That's number one. It's just understanding who you're selling to. And then number 2 is make sure that you price it correctly. It's always a big one, whether it's waterfront or not, but pricing it correctly is number 2 on the list.
Now, going into pricing, I have a lot of people, even in this market where we're at, just remember, because we're in a good market doesn't mean that the buyer wants to pay over what it's worth. We just sold a waterfront property out in Kahiti. We actually sold it 3 times over, but we had some issue. We talk about the condition, we talk about the market conditions, and in reality, some of the waterfront homes in some of these areas are sitting in the market for a year or longer. And understanding that pricing, understanding the market, and really what a buyer is willing to pay is key.
Right.
And everybody, listen, all the sellers want as much as they can get, but we've got to look realistically. And I think in this market, if you're putting the home on the market, if you're thinking about putting your home or possibly selling this summer, make sure that you're watching the market trends, get with our office, people that are out there in the market that specialize in selling waterfront properties, to really know what buyers are paying. Because a lot of times, spring and summer market, some of those stats are already sold, and you may not even know what they pinned it for. Some of them are above list price, some of them are competing offers, some are full price. We need to know those when we're thinking about putting our home on the market.
That's right, and talking about price, just because it's a waterfront property,
sure.
You do have to consider that maybe your lot isn't as good of a lot as your next door neighbor or the one across the street. So that's where price comes into play as well.
And don't you think, April, on the lot, there's some lots that are easily, gradually walk out to the water, and some you drop off the cliff.
Right.
And
exactly.
so you have to be able, just because it's waterfront property, you got to make sure that you adjust for your lot and things like that.
Yes, exactly. And then number 3 is know everything you can about the home. So being able to price the home well compared to other homes just requires the knowledge of knowing your home inside and out and understanding the location. And so you just want to make sure you get the accurate measurements of the square footage, the size of the waterfront the footage, anything like that, that will just make a significant difference in the price. So everything that you know about the home is key. And then also if there's like a clubhouse, fitness center, anything like that.
All your amenities that you're talking about. So in Kahidi, it was part of, over Tellico, they use those areas, the walkways, golf courses, all those amenities. It's so important to sell those benefits because a lot of people that are coming out of state, buyers that we're selling to, Ohio, Michigan, Florida, different places like that they're coming through, they don't know those amenities. We always encourage in our marketing photos and what we do, we're having shots of the pool, golf courses. If you're like me, we like to work on the golf game. Those things are important, and if you're not including those in the marketing, if you're scanning through those properties, they may not know that they exist, something that you definitely want to incorporate into your marketing.
Exactly. And then number 4 is maximize the visibility and stage the waterfront home. So not necessarily staging your home, but staging the area around your home, because you want to make sure that you feature all of, the water, the land, like you were talking about, the landscaping and everything. And you just want them to see the potential and just make everything visible. So if there are bushes, trees, or anything that's obstructing the views of the water, then you want to make sure that you can just trim those back so that you can
most importantly, and something I see obviously with the weather, if we have a good storm, make sure that you have the walkways down to the dock, everything obstructed. Make sure it's very nice and clean, manicured. Don't have a bunch of sticks and things like that. We're coming on the other side of the break. Make sure that you stay with us. Real Estate with Ryan. We'll talk about why photography, videography, and all that is so important in today's age, especially with your lakefront properties. Make sure you get on the dock and understand all about that goes involved to it. You're listening to Real Estate with Ryan. Make sure you stay tuned. We're going to catch you on the other side of the break.
Hi, it's Marshall Stewart, Operations Manager here at the radio station for King Pure Water. And not only do I have a King Pure Water system at my home, we have a King Pure Water reverse osmosis drinking water system here at the radio station. Our drinking water is just as clean and fresh as God intended it to be. And when you start with clean, fresh water, things like your coffee taste even better as well. Now, we used to have one of those water coolers that had the 5-gallon water jugs on top. You know the ones I'm talking about, that you have to lug around the office every time they go empty. But not anymore. Our new water cooler is connected directly to our water tank, but it's filtered by reverse osmosis. And our new cooler takes up exactly the amount of space that our previous cooler did, just without the 5-gallon jug. It's going to save you money every single month. Get one of these great reverse osmosis drinking water coolers for your business. You can even rent them if you don't want to buy it up front. Call Ken King with King Pure Water. The number is 266-9566. That's 266-9566. Nobody beats a King Pure Water deal, and Ken King guarantees it. For your home or your business, King Pure Water.
It's about your life and your money. It's the Dave Ramsey Show. We've gotten so obsessed with home ownership because it's become a good part of doing your life financially right is owning your home over a long period of time. But people get in such a hurry and they do it out of order and they do it when they can't afford it and they sell wrong and they buy wrong. And real estate is the largest transaction most people make. Too many times they do it in such a way that it brings more curses than blessings. Weekday afternoons live at 2 on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Knox Cleaning Company is a family-owned and operated business. Always has been, always will be. Knox Cleaning Company specializes in every variety of cleaning. Residential, commercial, industrial sites, exterior or interior. Owner Angela Smitty takes pride in forming relationships with her company's clients built on trust and her company's 100% satisfaction guarantee. Give Knox Cleaning Company a call today and see what a difference it can make for you. 865-256-5875. That's 865-256-5875. You can also find out more by visiting knoxcleaningcompany.com. The Pure Magic Hotline is open to talk real estate with Ryan on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. 865-888-TALK.
Thank you for staying with us. You're listening to Real Estate with Ryan, where we are talking about what you need to know when selling your waterfront property. And before the break, we were on number 4, just maximize visibility and stage the waterfront home, not necessarily stage the inside. You can, which makes it always nice, but to also stage the outside. And we were talking about just make sure that the the water, the body of water is visible. And also, you know, the outside grills, making sure your, you know, jet skis or anything like that are just visible, just to kind of set the stage for the buyers when they come, that they can see themselves there.
Sure.
And just show the full potential of the property. That was number 4. And then we'll just keep moving on. And number 5 is get a home inspection. That's something that we have talked about on our shows before. It's just getting your own home inspection before you have a buyer.
Kind of a pre-inspection.
Yeah, the pre-inspection, and then that just lets you know all of the potential issues that you have, because you can turn some buyers off if there's any possible water issues, if there was any new or old, and then that horrible word mold always comes into play.
So let's go back and reference that, give you a little story. We sold this property 3 times on the water, and actually we had some issues with, when you're in East Tennessee, the lovely hills, you have a little bit of a slope. Mm-hmm. And so those issues with the property, I think that's one of the biggest things that you want to, and you're talking $4, $7, $8 million on the property. Make sure that you spend the $200 or $300. Why? Because it helps us in the long run. Mm-hmm. The reality is that you may not know it. You may have been in the property for years. It could be an estate property. There could be a lot of different factors. Why it's important to catch us on the front end is because we go in the market, we put the property in the market, and then it fails the home inspection. Mm-hmm. We've got issues with water coming in the basement. We've got issues with mold. We've got issues with, I'll call it, runoff, drainage issues. Nothing can deter buyers quicker than that. Mm-hmm. And then there's a very costly fix when you have to do it here in a couple weeks. Yeah, exactly. And so really for your negotiation purposes, if we find something like that, that we're able to get on the front end, shop competitors' pricing, see what's out there, see what the best solution is, repair it, get that certified warranty. So if anything was able to come up, we update the disclosure, and we have proof that the work was done and things like that that's done. Now buyers are feeling, okay, that remedy's taken care of. It's solid. The owner's done what they need to do. Mm-hmm. Again, kind of like the carpet, just one less objection that we need to deal with. People don't understand in real estate, we're selling the thing 3 or 4 times before it closes. You know, we're selling it to the buyer, we're selling it to the realtor, we're selling it to the home inspector, we're selling it to the lender, and then at the end when the buyer gets remorse and we're getting all nervous, we're selling it to them again. We're just constantly reselling it and closing them. Why? Because it's a big investment. I think Dave was on here in the commercial and he said it's one of the largest investments you're going to make. And it is. And so we got to understand our job, our position, obviously as experts in the marketplace, is to help guide you through that process, have less hurdles, make it a smoother transition, and always reinforce what they're doing. And I think as a seller, representing a seller, you want to make sure that we have those less hurdles. You know, if the buyer's on the fence, they're spending $700 grand, it's a lot of money, they get nervous. That's a lot of money, however you look at it, right? And so understand that. It doesn't matter if it's luxury, whether it's luxury, second home, 10th home, a lot of money on the table. Mm-hmm. There's going to be normal buyer's remorse, right? There's going to be a little bit of a pullback. That's just normal.
And then it's easier if you're just not stressed out. When you put your home under contract and the buyers do a home inspection, they find something wrong, and then you're stressed to the max because you feel like you have no time to get it done before taking it to closing. And
just keep in mind, we do an inspection, they'll find something else, but we're looking for the major things, and you can have a little bit more peace of mind that once we negotiate the front end price, that the inspection maybe hopefully a couple of nickel and dime things, nothing too major.
Right, just because that is common.
It just happens. Number 6, market with exceptional photography and videography. We're doing drones, we do videos, we do lifestyle tours. If you watch us on social media, we do walkthroughs of some of our properties. Mm-hmm. We just did one in Carnes in our Deer Valley property, over $1.1 million. We're doing a lot of marketing that you have to have out there in the property. Buyers are busy. Buyers have a lot of properties and things to choose from, mm-hmm. and it's our job to market and bring as many people through the front door as possible. We're only going to do that if we can expose your home to the marketplace. We're big on the DuPont registry. We have, on the higher end properties, we have a lot of opportunities with a lot of eyeballs on it.
Exactly.
I mean, ultimately, and so you have to have that showcase. That's what we're talking about on waterfront properties. We can have the best videos, we can edit it and make it look well, but nothing's going to do more than when we do that walkthrough of the property and they walk the lake frontage and they go to meet your neighbors. We want that best presentation.
And truthfully, just in my opinion, just coming from a personal level, like we were even looking maybe to find, if you want to go on a vacation and find some condos, I mean, you know, you're looking around and if they just have really horrible pictures and you just can't really tell what the property looks like, you don't want to stay there. But if you find a place and they're like, ooh, this is really nice, look at those pictures, look at that tile backsplash, ooh, 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 and look at those views, then that brings you more into wanting to stay there. And so the same is just, you know, with a property. If the pictures are dark and dingy and you can't really tell what the layout looks like, then most of the time, even in my opinion, in my experience, you're just going to pass right through it. But if there's really good pictures and it brings you to the property and fills your eye, then you're more likely to.
And you guys, if you're thinking about putting your home on the market or things like that, maybe I do a little bragging, but we kind of control our own photography and videography. We've had to do that and change in the marketplace and things like that, and we've really been blessed to work with some really great photographers. But if you go to ryancoleman.org, you'll see what we're talking about. All of our properties, whether it's $130,000 on up to over $1 million, $2 million, they're all professionally done. They've got videos, they've got drones, they've got the things that you need in this marketplace to stand out. And I think if your agent's not getting that, if you're not doing that, I think you're already a step behind the game in this marketplace. So these are things that you definitely need to look into. Let's go to number 7. Make sure you get to know about your dock. There's a lot of things with the dock that are important, and TVA rules, things like that that come in play. Understand that it's not just the dock, it's the shoreline, it's everything that's there. If the dock is not up to code, if it's not, you know, it's kind of weak, some boards, replace them. Nobody wants to walk on the deck and you're going to fall through there.
Yeah, if you're going down there previewing the home and you feel like you're about to fall in the water, then that's a good sign to deter a buyer. So make sure if number 8, if the dock needs to be repaired, then go ahead and repair it if necessary. And also bring up the curb appeal of the dock as well.
Number 9, make sure your shoreline is accessible if possible. Make sure it's clean, make sure you've got all the overgrowth taken care of. And I think we were talking about there before the break, your bulkhead. Man, I know what a bulkhead is, right? But that holds the dirt from the water and it separates it. Make sure if you've got a bulkhead, the owner needs to take care of that. Make sure that they've got that tidied up. You can get in there and understand that you may have to get a bulkhead inspector to go look at it and take care of it. You can hire a contractor, but make sure that's all tightened up. One less thing, the buyer wants to look at the lakefront property, spend $500,000, and maybe there's repair issues. You want to take care of those.
Which goes into number 10, clean up the shoreline. So if there's trash that's built up at your shoreline in front of your property, just clean that up, because you know all these people out here like to throw stuff in the lake. But just make sure that's good and clean, and we always say focus on the curb appeal, number 9. But also you have to think of, there are people that are out in their boats, and we had a house on the lake that we sold last year, and there were people that saw the sign in the yard from the lake, and they were in their boat and calling, wanting to find out more information about the property. So don't think people aren't in their boats trying to find houses too.
It is true. So she makes me want to get my boat out and do a little prospecting.
I know. We might have to continue this topic on a
We'll do it. Hey, thank you guys for staying with us. You're listening to Real Estate with Ryan every Saturday here. Talk radio you can trust, 92.3 FM, AM 760. Listen, check us next week. We'll be here at 11 o'clock live. If you need me off air, that's 693-SOLD, 693-SOLD, ryancoleman.org. Till next week, we hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you there.
Thank you so much.
Let's go here. Come on here.
You've been listening to Real Estate with Ryan on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760 with Ryan Coleman of Hometown Realty. Find Ryan on Facebook at Ryan Coleman Group or online at ryancoleman.org. To contact Ryan by phone, call 865-693-7653. Join us again next week for Real Estate with Ryan on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. Talk you can trust.
Okay. That's right. All right, guys, thank you for staying with us on social media. Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, so many places, who knows where they're all up. But hope you enjoyed the show. As we're going to Memorial Day weekend, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. We thought lakefront properties, as we're seeing those picking up, actually got an appointment here about 2 o'clock on one. And so there's never a better time that these properties show the best in this market. Lakefront, people are out on the boats, kids are out, kids are getting out of school. This is where we need to go. I'd encourage you that if you think about putting the property on the market, you've got a window of opportunity where the property, probably from now all the way to Thanksgiving, really shows the best. And so I would encourage you, if you're thinking about putting it on the market for sale by owner or things like that, talk to us. My fear is that you may miss the market and the exposure that you need, or you may miss out with money on the property that you may be not getting by the exposure. So always give us an opportunity. If you've got your home on the market and maybe you're frustrated, you're not getting the exposure with the agent, doesn't have the type of marketing that it needs, talk to us. We like to refresh that marketing. You'd be amazed with sometimes what we're able to do to get that property back on the market and kind of re-alive it, make it fresh, give it a brand new presentation. You know, it's always about first impressions. 80% of the marketing is within the first 2 months. And if we're missing that, you know, it only takes one to make a deal. It only takes one to get a contract. Where is that follow-up? Is the marketing being enough? Those are one of the things I would think that you want to look at. And I hope that show's been helpful for you. I would say, we did have some stats. Did you want to go on those? You want to go into the next show about that? But I think overall, expect for lakefront properties this year, I think there's a great opportunity. But at the same time, there's a lot of competition. You know, with a lot of competition, if we're not going to put any more improvements in the property, if we're not going to do anything to it, then it's really coming down to price. And always like an opportunity where we can get 2 competing offers, like we had here recently, and help you win. And it's always happy at closing. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget to check us out Saturday News Talk today, 5 o'clock. What are we talking about? Somebody showed up. Can't keep you straight. Actually, I know our show. Here we go. So we go over the market stats. We talk about what's going on today in the market, trending. Really good market update if you got your home on the market or if you're thinking about buying. But with the market today, everybody's a real estate agent. Actually, we got 4,000 agents in the marketplace. Plus, we're not counting the Sevierville market. So the market's good. Obviously, there's a lot of agents coming in the business. And so we wanted to take our time to talk about that show, kind of some guys that are out there doing it over 20 years in the business, understanding what it is to be an agent, what it takes to actually be successful, the pros, the cons, what are actually involved, you know, to be a real estate agent. There's more than just, believe it or not, putting a sign in the yard. There's more than just showing a property, right? There's a lot of hard work to be successful. In our business, it's all about marketing. It's all about branding. It's all about exposure, just like us helping you if you're selling your home. If they don't know you, they can't do business with you. And our job, not only as real estate agents, but marketers, is to help our clients position them in a position that's a win-win. And as real estate, it can be very stressful at times. And some things that maybe I wish I was told, knowing getting into the business, what was involved, and the time and effort. Everybody thinks if you're self-employed that you really kind of have all this free time.
Right.
And April's worked for a big company, Fortune 500 company, big hospital, and you know, there was very structured hours and very structured things. Would you say you work harder now in our business than with the hospital? And you're working 12 or 13 hours, right?
Right. It was
days.
A different kind of work, but yes, I worked my 3-hour or my 12-hour shifts 3 days a week, and then on my days off, I had days off, and it was really nice. So I would actually say that now I work harder than I did at the hospital. Not physically harder, because it's a physically hard job, but just time-wise.
It's different. A lot of our business, I mean, obviously what the nurses and things like that in that industry do is they do an amazing job. But in our industry, we've got to be available. Remember, guys, if you think about getting into real estate, you got to be available when people are. That means evenings, weekends, right? So if you have a family like us, how do you juggle all that? And I think we've talked about that in one of our shows. What makes us successful? How do we work? How do we do it as a husband-wife team and not kill each other? But I mean, I think more specifically, I think what works for us, you know, is we're focused to certain goals and things that we do. We're able to have our little one here in the studio. We're able to travel. We're able to do things that we couldn't do if we worked for somebody else.
Right.
So there's a lot of pros to being self-employed. I would never change it, but where a lot is given, a lot is expected, and so just know that. And it's a challenging market with so much competition, so many brokerages out there now that, you know, the old saying, what's your training? Here's your phone, and you're on your own, right? Here's your desk phone, and you're on your own. It makes it challenging. It makes it, how can you compete in the marketplace? So we talk about all that, pick our brain, talk about that at 5 o'clock today, News Talk. Hope you catch in and join the show. If you miss it, catch us right here on Facebook, social media. We'll have it there posted for you. Till next weekend, hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Now listen, Memorial Day weekend, before we close, are we in the studios? No, we're not here. It ain't gonna happen.
Who knows?
We're gonna probably take a break, but we'll have some really good shows for you.
We'll have a show on.
And we may have that recorded for you, but it's gonna be something that will be tipful. I think we're gonna talk about security tips. Not sure. Stay tuned for messages. I think that's coming up. Hope to see you next weekend. Have a great weekend. If you need us at 693-7653 or ryancoleman.org.
Thank you.
Take care.